Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to my first ever video on my brand new YouTube channel titled Mets Media. For those of you guys that do not know who I am, I'm Richie and I run a YouTube channel called Jets Media that is pretty much covering all about the New York Jets. And for those of you guys that do not know, I'm a diehard New York Mets and New York Knicks and New York Jets fan. Yes, I know it's brutal, but since I started my Jets Media channel, I've realized, you know what? I've always wanted to have a voice for reason about the New York Mets and the New York Knicks, so I'm thinking about making channels for there, and here we go. This is my first ever video talking about the New York Mets on my brand new YouTube channel, so if you guys are a Mets fan, please hit that subscribe button. I'm super excited to launch this, and in this video, I'll be talking about Steve Cohen's press conference and Sandy Alderson and what I really took away from it, and why I think that this owner and Steve Cohen has what it takes to build a sustainable winner for the future. And I almost said the Jets and the Mets are looking good because the New York Mets have been, very inconsistently the last couple of years. And I'm going to get into everything about this press conference and what I think to expect from Steve Cohen. And listen, guys, if you are a New York Mets fan, make sure you smash that subscribe button because I'm going to be trying to be posting you guys a lot of content throughout the offseason, free agencies, the draft, are we going to keep Luis Rojas, which I'll get into this video, and a lot of good stuff. And I'm super excited. And if you guys are a Jets, Mets fan like I am, awesome. If you're a Mets fan and a Giants fan, okay. I know that New York has a lot of diversified fandom, but listen, I'm going to be bringing you guys all the latest New York Mets content, so stay tuned for that. And I'm super excited to finally get to talk about my New York Mets. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So this morning, we get to hear from the one and only New York Mets owner, Steve Cohen. This guy grew up on Long Island, New York, like me, in Great Neck, which is where my dad grew up, which is pretty insane. And he is a hedge fund investor who is worth somewhere around $13 billion, grew up a diehard Mets fan. He talked about his story that he went to the train in Great Neck and went to the games in Shea Stadium. He remembers going to the Polo Grounds with his father all the way back in the 60s. And he is everything you want in an owner. First off, what I took away from this the most is Steve Cohen is one of us. He's one of the fans that has a lot of money that was able to buy the New York Mets. And he's going to build this team to help the fans, to satisfy us. The biggest takeaway I got from this press conference is this quote right here. You build champions, you don't buy them. And we have a good young core. So we understand, right? Steve Cohen, so much money. A lot of people are anticipating Steve Cohen to go out there and open the bank and get a lot of free agents right off the bat and buy a bunch of players. I don't think that's going to happen. Steve Cohen said that he's not going to be a short-term thinker. He wants to build a team that's competing for the World Series every single year, and that does not happen by buying players. He said, you build champions, not buy them. And he is totally right. And what that means is he's going to bring his blueprint from his success over the hedge fund business to the Mets in terms of building from the top to bottom, building the farm system. He's going to put so much money into the front office, the farm system from top to bottom, because a team that he really compared it to, who he really wants to replicate in his own way, is the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers just won the World Series, and they are known for building homegrown talent, holding on to them, and then when there's somebody that's like Mookie Betts available via trade or free agency, they open up the bank, they trade assets for a superstar because they're like one player away from winning the World Series, and you saw what happened with the Los Angeles Dodgers. And Steve Cohen really looks at the Dodgers, and he thinks that he wants to do that in his own way. Another thing that I took away from this is Steve Cohen said, I did not buy the Mets for a money investment. I did not buy them to make money. I have my business. I have my hedge funding business to make my money. I bought the Mets for one reason, and it's to satisfy the New York Mets fans and bring championships and bring Mets fans together and change millions of people's lives. He understands. He's one of us. That's what's so crazy, As you guys know, I'm a Mets, Jets, Knicks fans, and all three of those owners are terrible. The Wilpons I'm talking about, right? And they are all thinking about money. James Dolan with the Knicks, he just cares about money. They're making so much, the highest revenue out of any NBA team, and they're the worst team in the league. The Jets, the Johnsons, they're the worst team in the league. They're making a lot of money. But they're not really, diehard Knicks fan. Dolan's not a huge Knicks fan like growing up. The Johnsons weren't, fanatic over the Jets. Steve Cohen's one of us. He grew up on Long Island, going to the Shea Stadium. He's a big family man with a lot of energy and knowledge of business, and he's going to run the Mets similarly to his business. And he said, listen, the blueprint to building a successful business is by developing talent. He said, he's like, listen, if I would, in my own hedge fund business, if I would go out there and bring in all these outside voices and pay for people to come in, I wouldn't be out of business. That would not work. And that's kind of connecting it to the Mets. If the Mets go out there and trade all their assets for new people and buy all these players, it's not going to work. They need to be smart. They need to build through the draft, build through the farm system, hold on to their minor league prospects, and develop them. That's what he says that he does in his hedge fund company. He finds prospects that are good for his company. He has a team that is working their asses off, and they are developing his talent in order for him to have a successful business. He's going to replicate that with the Mets, and it's going to work. I mean, Steve Cohen said everything you want to hear from a New York Mets owner. He's going to build communities around Citi Field. His wife, who is super involved in community building, he said that she is going to be a fan favorite and she's going to be heavily involved in the community. Steve Cohen's also very active on Twitter, as you guys know. He says, I love communicating to the fans. I have an open mind. I want to hear what the fans' perspective is. And he also said that the fans are extremely knowledgeable. They know what they're talking about. We're passionate. He sees us. He sees eye to eye with us. Steve Cohen's not buying the Mets to make money. He's doing it for us. That's what I really took away from this. And he has one goal in mind, and that's winning World Series. And he understands what it takes. There's a lot that he said in this press conference, and I'm trying to, condense it into a very, not short video, but as much as I can to get what I got from this. You know what I mean? I just really love how he's not going to go in here, because a lot of Mets fans are thinking right off the bat, like I mentioned earlier, he's going to go out there and buy everybody this offseason. That's not going to happen. He's going to be smart with his money. He's going to invest in the front office. He's going to invest in the farm. He's going to invest in the developmental side of things, because that's how you build a sustainable winning team for the foreseeable future. And Steve Cohen is exactly that. He's doing this for one reason, and it's for the Mets fans. That's what just really resonates with me the most. That he said, like I mentioned earlier in the video, that he's doing this for us and he's not doing this to make money, because that's why the Jets and the Knicks suck. It's because they're cheap and they don't really care. It seems like they just care about money and they don't really have a sense of urgency to win. Steve Cohen grew up on Long Island like me, a diehard Mets fan like me, and wants to see his New York Mets win the World Series. Here you see that World Series towel. I was there for that World Series game in 2015, Game 3. Noah Syndergaard's on the mound, and that was their only victory of the World Series. David Wright hit a home run. What probably the best live sports moment of my life, and I'll never forget that. So Steve Cohen, right? He is immediately going to change the culture. He said that he wants to be consistently competing. And listen, he said in his own words, if the Mets do not win a World Series in the next 3 to 5 years, that is a failure. That means that he's not doing something right, and he needs to switch a lot of things. He's going to get deep into analytics. He's going to combine the human knowledge with analytics to intertwine into extreme knowledge. I mean, if you really look at what Steve Cohen did to make billions of dollars in his hedge funding company, he's just going to replicate it and use that blueprint for the Mets. And I really don't want to sit here and be like, the Mets are going to be the best team in the league. They're going to be the World Series champions 3 years in a row. That's very unrealistic. To win the World Series is extremely hard, and it's not going to happen in one season. It's not going to happen in 2 seasons, which it could, because it's not even like the Mets are far off. It's not even like the Mets are bad and Steve Cohen's coming to save the day. The Mets have a really young core. We have the best pitcher in the MLB in Jacob deGrom. We have a young core of bats like Michael Conforto, who we need to extend as soon as possible, which I really think we will, because Sandy Alderson had a lot to say with that draft, and Steve Cohen said that he wants to retain his homegrown talent. Michael Conforto had a breakout season last year. Pete Alonso, Rookie of the Year 2 years ago, sophomore season, definitely wasn't the best, not what we were expecting, but I'm not worried. Pete Alonso, beast. Dom Smith, absolute stud. Jeff McNeil, stud. I mean, I can go on and on. Jimenez at shortstop, Rosario at shortstop. We have 2 young shortstops who we can either flip one of them or keep them because we have assets. We have assets. I mean, I can go on about this entire New York Mets team. I'll probably do that in a future video, but this is strictly about Steve Cohen because it's not even like we're far off from winning. We have a team to build now. We have a team built to win right now, and all we need is a catcher, and we need more starting pitching depth and bullpen and another bat. And then this Mets team is right there in contention. So we're not far off, but what really stood out to me the most is that Steve Cohen passionately cares about us and me, you guys watching this video. He cares about Mets fans. He's going to be very active on social media. He's going to be connecting with the fans, listening to what we have to say because he thinks that we are knowledgeable, which we are. All of us that, for those of you guys that are watching this video, you're an extremely passionate New York Mets fan like myself and like Steve Cohen. We're all on the same eye length. It doesn't really feel like Steve Cohen's up here. He's looking down on us like, haha, I'm going to get all your money. That's what it kind of feels like with these other ownerships, like I keep mentioning. So that really does it for my breakdown of Steve Cohen. One last thing I want to bring up, which I'll probably make another video about. So stay tuned for an in-depth breakdown of this. Sandy Alderson said that Luis Rojas looks like he will be the manager for 2021. That right there kind of scares me. And I'm going to get into it in another video, but I'll just brief on it really quick. My little take on Luis Rojas is I understand he has a good relationship with the homegrown talent. He coached them, guys like Nimmo, Conforto, and Alonso in the minor leagues, so he understands the New York Mets organization. He has a good relationship, but Rojas just doesn't really feel like a World Series caliber manager to me. He has a lot of traits to him that he lacks. Maybe he can prove me wrong. I would love for him to prove me wrong, but I would prefer to move on from Rojas and bring in a guy that is experienced and understands to win in the big moments, how to make mid-game adjustments, to deal with the bullpen, the lineups. I just don't really think Rojas is, he wasn't even supposed to be the Mets manager. It was supposed to be Carlos Beltran, and we all know what happened. It fell through, and our last resort was Luis Rojas. So you know what? I'm going to make a video on that, so stay tuned. And that really does it for my first ever New York Mets video. If you guys enjoyed, please smash that like button and subscribe. Leave a comment down below if you guys watched up until this moment. And I'm super excited to launch this YouTube channel. I've always wanted to talk about the Mets. I have a Jets channel, as you guys know. I have a Touchdown Kingdom channel, which is all about the NFL. And I'm also going to be making a New York Knicks media channel as well. So again, thank you guys so much, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Let's go Mets. Peace.